Good evening, Jack. Nice to see you. I had this thing, I was just sitting down and I thought, oh, I'm going to sit a little bit before I do the meditation just so I'm ready for it. And I'm like, oh, wait, we're going to meditate. It's okay. I don't need to sit before. We're actually going to sit together. Even better. How's everyone doing today? Having a good day? It feels a little bit like we have a meditation room somewhere, and then everyone's coming into the sitting, and then like, hey, we're gonna start, and then there's the people just falling in. It reminds me so much of a place we had here in Halmstad. They used to have I think it was every week or twice per week. Good enough for Mama. They had that you could go there and sit with other people. It was very nice. It was not guided meditation or anything. They just had a space for meditating together, and I think they had Dharma school there as well for people who wanted, but that was a separate thing. But I also did just have, you could come there and sit for an hour together with other people, and it was just really nice to have a place like that, because it is very nice to sit with other people. Oops. Even if it's the way we do it here, which is like online, is still nice. Hey, Christian. Christian's feeling all right. Burned food on the stove. Oh, well, that's a lot of stuff to look at. Hi, Mats. And that's a really interesting thing when something like that happens, when there's a panic thing. Or not panic, but something urgent, a fire. Like, quite literally in this case, it could be a fire if it's burning on the stove. If you look at the way the word equanimity is used in Buddhism, it's the way a monk, first time I heard a monk describe it to me, they said that equanimity is having a stable mind, a calm mind, as if though you're standing and a tree falls down next to you and you just turn around like, oh, a tree fell. That's the Theravadan explanation of what mindfulness, equanimity means, which is having a calm mind. Whereas the way that I look at it, it's not that you don't take action, it's that feeling of, oh, it's burning, like, and you can feel that stress. That is the part that we're taking away. We're not taking away the quick action. And if you think about this, if you would be a professional firefighter, for instance, someone actually knew how to put out fire. I'm not saying it's burning at your place, Christian. I'm just saying, if you were a professional firefighter and you've taken out loads of fires and you were comfortable with approaching a fire, extinguishing it, knowing what to do, it's a fat fire, so you know you can't extinguish it with water, and like you actually know how to suffocate the fire and what to do with it. If that person would have a fire on their stove, how much distortion or panic do you think they would feel? That feeling like this feeling. And do you think they would have that, or do you think they would just kind of know what to do? So if we take say they actually know what to do, but then they introduce this panic, would they be better at solving the problem if they had the panic, and then even if they knew it, having the panic and doing it, or if they were actually calm and systematic, knowing, okay, I need to do this, and this? Which one do you think would be the most efficient one at actually taking out the fire? The person who has the lots of distortion, or the person who is calm and centered and actually thinking about the proper response to? I'm kind of giving away the answer here. My point is that we believe we need this pain to do something, and it's just so natural to have it that we it's difficult to understand that we don't actually need it. And there's no direct correlation, because if you would learn more about it, then all of a sudden you wouldn't have this feeling, you would know exactly what to do. So that's kind of what we're looking at here, and why I sometimes, when people ask me specific questions, how do I solve this problem? I don't actually want to go in and solve the problem. I want to go in and help you look at how you're distorting towards the problem. And then my belief is that you'll have the right answer to solve the problem. But you'll do it from a place of not being angry, not being needy, not being fearful, but actually going in and solving the problem with a stable mind that can come up with the best answer. If you need help with methods and systems to how to approach to-do-it lists and stuff like that, then that's kind of personal development. That's something else. And it's very easy, as someone who does what I do, I guess you could say, or when you're a monk, it's very easy to get into personal development and believing that that's what we're doing. But I see that as something very separate. It's quite natural that it goes into the same thing and people want to practice it, but as someone who's actually trying to teach, I think it's important that we separate and see that, okay, that has to do with making our reality better, and that's a really good thing to do. But that's not the same as looking at this eternal distortion, suffering that's happening in between. That's a separate process. And you can still make your world better, you can still change your desire or your wants for reality, but you should still look at this as a separate thing that you can work with while you improve your life, while you consider if your desires for your life are something that would actually make you a happier person or make the world a better place, because those are things that really do help, unless they're taken to extremes. See, Jack, trying not to act on every emotion emerging from within is a powerful way to work on yourself. Just sit and observe and watch as feeling comes, feelings go. Yes, and that's very much the Vipassana approach. You observe that everything is impermanent. You observe that there is no self in the things you're feeling. And you observe that everything is dukkha, everything is suffering. Now, the thing that I differ from that approach is that I also introduce and say that while you're doing this, I agree completely with that. You just see it come and go. But you add the element of good mood. Or someone, I actually had a really good talk with one of my clients this weekend. He used a word that I haven't used before, but I really like it because I think it kind of points at what I'm trying to say. He called it effortless. So what we're looking for is effortless joy, meaning that I don't mean that it should just come by like you're just, oh, it's just so easy to get it. No, what I mean is that the joyfulness, the happy mood, the enjoyment that you're looking for is effortless. It's not that you try to make it or you try to create it somehow. It just comes naturally by itself. Just like a child effortlessly enjoys playing with a muddy puddle. It's not like they're like, okay, I'm really going to enjoy this. I'm going to make... No, it's an effortless joy. So while you observe these things coming and going, you then look at how am I doing right now? And you turn towards this effortless joy. And you also try to become one with your senses. You observe through your senses and just use your senses without interpreting or distorting towards things, and really become one with you. It's an incredible experience when you actually start doing this, and you'll see how when you're stuck in your thoughts and ideas and run around, or even when you're meditating, you kind of see blurry. You don't see the world around you. So we're trying to really see the world sharply as it is. And the third part, because I also have three parts in my method, is that you do no harm. You don't hurt other people. First, do no harm is that Socratian oath. What is it called? The hypo. You know which one I mean. The one with the doctors, like they say, the doctors. First of all, they should do no harm. So that's actually a big part of it. But I don't talk so much about it because people have a tendency to take that part and then say, okay, I get it. I'm just going to be the nicest person in the world. And you also can get into talking about kindness. Problem with saying kindness is then what is kind? Like if a animal is hurt and they're like they might not survive and they're in pain, is it kind to help them to kill them? Like is that kindness? I mean, I'm not here to judge or say what's right and wrong. I'm just saying, if I use the word kindness, then you have to get into interpretations. So instead I say, just don't hurt other people. Just don't hurt other people or other things more than necessary. But also don't go to extremes, because if we say don't hurt, there's no reason to hurt animals or things. But at the same time, as soon as you get in a car, you're bound to kill thousands upon thousands of insects when you're driving around. And if you really wanted to not have the karmic debt of like causing any animals to die, then I mean, there's just no way to live. Because if you eat food, well, then that food had been transported to your place. So then animals die to give you food. Or if you go to a store, it's Hippocratic oath. That's the one I'm looking for. Thank you, Mats. So basically, don't take that to the extreme, but look for effortless joy. Observe your senses without trying to distort towards the things you're seeing and feeling and hearing. And that's something that takes practice, but it comes naturally after a while. And then just don't do any harm. Like, don't harm unnecessarily. And so it's quite similar. There's parts from it, but I think that that's the thing that's missing from Vipassana. Because when people do a lot of Vipassana, I met people who did Vipassana for like 50, 60 years. And after they've done it for 50, 60 years, they tend to mellow out. But the first 20, 30, 40 years, a lot of those people who were really into the meditation, they were very like strict, very firm. And you could see there's something kind of, I promise you there's not a lot of distortion there. But they constantly have to be like plucking those things as they come up. I'm trying to show you something that actually takes those away so it doesn't come up again. Because if you do what I'm saying here, you actually take away this sense of self, and then the magical, I'm not going to say magical, the incredible thing that happens is that you actually have less of them coming up. It becomes easier and easier as you go along. It's just a self, how do you say it? It just enhances itself. The more you do it, the stronger it gets. So I hope that makes sense. And today is Monday, so today is guided meditation. For those of you who are new, we do a little bit chat like this before, and then we sit for 20 minutes. Today, as I said, it's Monday, so I'll be guiding you. After that, if you want to, it's open for questions and answers, if there's any questions. Also, before we do something called the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, which helps, actually it aims to really observe our senses without putting in this sense of self, but actually just in the seeing is only the seeing. You just see without having an emotional reaction or distorting towards the things you're seeing. Same with your hearing. When you hear things, instead of like, oh, I like that sound, no, I don't like that sound. Instead of doing this, we just, oh, it's just sounds. We look at that discomfort inside of us that makes you go, ooh, I like it, I don't like it, or ooh, I like it. We're looking for these things and intentionally looking and saying like, hey, wait a minute, that's an uncomfortable thing to do. And you're actually doing it, even though it doesn't feel like that. That's how it is. If you look at that, eventually you can let go of it. So we can do it together. 5 things that we can see, and try to see the shadows, the textures, the surfaces, and the colors, and just see them like as it is, without trying to say, oh, I like it, I don't like it, or like have a feeling towards. Just look and really take your time to do this. It would be much better if you just looked at one thing for the next 5 minutes instead of actually doing all of them. So I see a bundle of cables. I see a pair of socks. I see an adapter. I see small little orange lights. I see a square little window. And we'll take 4 things that we can feel. I can feel this soft, nice blanket on me. I just said, don't feel like you... While you're experiencing, there is also this effortless enjoying. See how it's actually enjoyable to touch this blanket. That is an enjoyable thing to do. And when you're observing the senses just there, it's like it's an enjoyment of the senses. They in and of themselves are enough to have you enjoy being here, being alive. And I can feel pressure on my leg. I can feel the rim of a sticker here. And I can feel the texture of this pillow. There was 4 things that I could feel. And now we go to a little bit more nuanced senses. So I can, let's see, 3 things that we can hear. And try to give it time to see what comes up. Don't necessarily take the first sound you hear. Instead, try to listen and see if there's some nuance to the sound or something behind the sound that you can hear. And sometimes you just hear the sound. It's not, I mean, we're not trying to strain here, but just have a wide awareness and listen what you can hear. I hear the sound of tires whooshing. I hear creaking in the office that I'm sitting in. And I can hear my own breath. Then we take two things that we can smell. I can smell sweat. And warm furniture. Finally, we take one thing that we can taste. You can taste vanilla. So for this meditation, we'll be focusing on our breath. And it's easiest to do this if you're able to sit with your eyes closed. If you want, you can also lie down. You could even stand up or move around in the room, but preferably not move around with your eyes closed. Although not necessary, you can also keep your eyes open if you want to. What we're trying to do is to become aware of this field of distortion, these things, this pressure that keeps happening inside of us when we have some kind of relationship to things outside of us, or we push against things we don't like and we pull towards things that we do like. And we're using the breath as a way to both train our senses and give us an anchor of something to stay aware. So this is not breath work, where you try to manipulate the breath. It's also not classical shamatha meditation, where we try to focus on a small point to get into really strong concentration states. Instead, we're trying to just step aside and let breath happen by itself. And while we do that, we let our awareness become wide. We're not looking for one point of breath happening right at the nostrils or right at the back of your nasal cavity or some small part near your lungs where you can feel breath happening. Instead, we are looking for awareness of breath happening. We're looking for a wide field, preferably your whole upper torso or maybe even your whole body, just being aware and keeping a sense of your body as you're breathing. And as I said, we just let breath happen by itself. We're not trying to control it. And you can observe throughout the meditation how it changes. Sometimes it'll be deep, sometimes it'll be shallow. Other times it will be really fast. Sometimes it will be very slow. It's actually not uncommon when you sit and really get into these calm states that you feel a sense of panic, because you notice that you're not breathing anymore. You go, you need to take a breath again. It's perfectly normal. Your system is going to start breathing again, so there's nothing to worry about. It's also easy to be distracted by thoughts. And so when we do these sittings, we ask ourselves that for the next 20 minutes, it's just 20 minutes, ask yourself if it's okay to just take a break, to not try to solve all the problems of the things that happened to you in the past, or try to figure out the solution to that big meeting you're going to have tomorrow, or how you're going to talk to that girl or the boy that you just met. Instead, just leave those things aside and give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to just do nothing but observe your breath for the next 20 minutes. And to make this a little bit easier, we'll do a technique where we count our breaths from 1 to 8 and then down again from 8 to 1. When you hear me breathe, I'll do it in an exaggerated way to make it clearer when I'm breathing in and out, but just let breath happen as you breathe in and out. So we'll do it together one time, and then you can continue by yourself. So breathing in and breathing out. 1. Breathing in and breathing out. 2. Breathing in and breathing out. 3. Breathing in and breathing out. 4. Breathing in, breathing out. 5. Breathing in, breathing out. 6. Breathing in, breathing out. 7. Breathing in and breathing out. 8. Breathing in and breathing out. 7. Breathing in, breathing out. 6. Breathing in and breathing out. 5. Breathing in and breathing out. 4. Breathing in and breathing out. 3. Breathing in and breathing out. 2. Breathing in and breathing out. 1. Now continue counting your breaths from 1 to 8 and then down again from 8 to 1 by yourself. As you breathe in and out. 1. Breathing in and out. As I mentioned in the beginning, the reason we do this exercise, it's not to have profound meditational experiences where you experience bliss or some kind of outwardly experience. Instead, we're trying to experience reality as it is right now. And we're also trying to learn to enjoy our senses, to enjoy just being here, not needing to go somewhere else over there to feel good, to feel that it's nice to be you. And as you sit there and observe your breath and you're breathing in and you're breathing out, see if you can tune into the effortlessness of enjoying just seeing your breath or feeling your breath, seeing how it moves easy by itself without any effort from you. And just feel what that movement feels like, and see that that in and of itself is enjoyable. And if you're sitting in a room where there's a little draft, then feel what it feels like when wind is blowing on your chin, and see that that's in and of itself enjoyable. There's something very nice to feel our senses. If it's cold in your room, just feel what does cold feel like. It's quite literally a miracle that you can feel and experience things. Just experience what that room temperature feels like. If it's warm, if it's cold. If it's so warm you're sitting there sweating, don't push against it and say, oh, I wish it was cold, cooler, or not this warm. Instead, see what does it feel like to have that resistance towards that, and see that that's a shame. You're ruining this moment of just sitting here, doing something that's inherently enjoyable, observing your breath. So don't push down your aversion towards it. Instead, let it come up and see that that's a pretty silly thing to do. And instead enjoy the sweat running from underneath your armpits or on your forehead, the clamminess of your clothes against you. Just feel what it feels like, and tune into that effortless enjoyment of just being here, hearing sounds around you. When you listen to my voice, just hear the vibrations. Don't think about what I say. Most of what I say is probably just nonsense anyway. Just listen to the vibrations as I'm speaking, and just hear the voice, how it moves, and the tonalities and the words, and just hear what's coming out of my mouth. Maybe you have some kind of smell scent that you're feeling inside the room or space you're at. Maybe there's a taste in your mouth, or whatever your senses are showing you. Try to tune your awareness. You're actually enjoying feeling them, seeing that that in and of itself is gratifying. It's enjoyable to be you. As you breathe in and breathe out. 1. Breathing in and out. If you find that you can't turn towards enjoying this moment, or you can't focus, or your mind is distracted, or sometimes it can even be painful to sit and focus on your breath, then that's okay. The most important thing is that you don't start creating more pressure, more tension, judging yourself, thinking that you should do better, you should be able to do more of this. That's the opposite of what you want to do. Just accept that right now you're having a shitty meditation. That's okay. Next one will feel different, or in fact, it might change right now, or maybe 1 second from now. We don't know. There's no reason to resist it. Just feel what it feels like to have a bad meditation if that's what you're having. And if you're having a nice meditation, then feel what that feels like. It will change. But right now it feels nice. You're able to enjoy just observing your breath, being with your senses. Sometimes it'll be a neutral meditation, and that's okay as well. What does that feel like? What is neutrality? Is it solid? Is it soft? Can it move? Just see what happens when you observe it. And aim your compass towards that effortless enjoyment as you're breathing in and out. 1. In and out. Thank you. That was a really nice sitting. As always, if you want to, you can keep on sitting, or just drink a cup of tea with me, or if you have questions or subjects that you'd like to discuss, then you're free to bring them up, or any thoughts about the meditation, something that you experienced that you wonder about. Or see, Jack, any good stuff going on lately? Getting ready. Autumn. Yes, we're having the last few dry days, so I've actually been fixing a a little playground for my children. One of these, what do you call? We call in Swedish, we call it lekställning. It's basically like they can climb in it, and there's a slide there, and they can do all kinds of stuff in it. There's a clock there as well. So we've just been having fun building stuff for the kids. It's nice to see my son. We talked about enjoying your senses and seeing and hearing. And I'm using an excavator to dig out in the ground, and my son loves. He's 2 years. He loves. He just sit like this, and then he does with his hands like digging like this, and then he takes a shovel and he digs the same as Papa. And just sitting there watching him, I've never been able to enjoy. My daughter, when she came, I was burnt out, so I couldn't really enjoy it like that. But seeing him, just seeing him move and not needing to do anything with it, not needing to interact, just being able to see and enjoy the seeing and hearing and feeling what that's like. It's really a remarkable feeling when there's not so much of you there that needs to do something with it, but instead just experiencing a little boy playing with an excavator toy, looking at his father playing with that. It's really, life is good. Let's see, Julius Luxton. Thank you. I'm not sure I've seen you before, Julius. Nice to have you here. I'm interested in insight meditation. I've heard, however, that meditation practitioners practice concentration meditation for several years before getting into insight meditation, and I'm hoping to decide. No, that's not true. I'm not sure where you got that from. So basically, insight meditation is what I talked about in the beginning. There's you observe that nothing contains the self, that everything is impermanent, and that all is dukkha, all is suffering. A bit different from what we're doing here, but that's the classical Theravadan view of Vipassana. Now, concentration meditation, usually you focus on a small point, and you focus your awareness on that point. And by looking at that, you just ignore everything else you're feeling. You're just looking at your breath going in and out. It's almost like you're lulling yourself into a trance. You get really calm, like the waves going in and out. And if there's difficult thoughts, you just push them aside. We're not going to look at that for now. And if you keep coming back to the same point over and over again, you will get very calm, very serene and quiet and stillness. And that comes from you using your awareness to the same point over and over. And there is elements of this in the meditation that we do, since we observe the breath. But we don't focus on a small, narrow point, because what many people don't realize is that this sense of self, like you're actually creating that when you're focusing on a small point. When you're moving your awareness around too much, you can feel like there's tension that moves out and has some kind of direction. So it's much better from the perspective of what we're trying to do here, to have a wide sense of awareness. But no, you definitely don't need to practice years of concentration meditation. The best way to try it is to go to what's called a Goenka retreat. They have centers all over the world. You practice for 10 days, and you start the first 2.5 or 3 days with concentration meditation, and then you do Vipassana after that. I quite strongly disagree with a lot of things that's being taught there. I also don't practice that technique, because I found after, I think, the second time or something, it just doesn't work well for me. But also, when you move your awareness around like that, I notice that I tense up and create a center point that I'm then moving around me, which is the opposite of what we're trying to do here. But if you want to try that easily, and it's accessible over the world, it's donation based, so I highly recommend it. They have amazing centers. And it's really, I call it the McDonald's of meditation. It's made in the way that they can put anyone in the positions in the meditation center, and they can run a center anywhere. It can just pop up. They have guidelines. There's no teacher giving talks. They have recorded sessions of Goenka, who was the founder, and when he talks, that's all you listen to. So I highly recommend them. And I've been to, at least, I think I stopped counting at 25. So I've been to a lot of those retreats. I love the centers, even though I didn't agree with the technique. Let's see, Jack. Oh wait, top chat. Sorry, Matt told me to change this live chat. Yes, okay, now we're going. That was Jack, and then that was Julius. Now we have Jack, and then Mats. I tried meditating lying in my bed this time because of a sore back. It was very difficult not falling asleep. Yes, for some people it's easier to lie down than for others. I have a hard time. It depends also, you know. You go in these kind of big waves, it feels like. Sometimes you'll sit and it's just super easy. It just works by itself, and you're just sitting and you have great awareness. And other times you just want to fall asleep no matter what you do, and it's impossible to stay awake. So just because it felt like that now, it doesn't mean that it's always going to be like that. But generally speaking, different postures carry different amounts of tension and energy. So when you lie down, you're very relaxed, and it's quite easy to then just fall asleep. When you're sitting up like this, there's a bit more tension in it. There's a more rigidity in your posture. If you sit in what's called the diamond position, where you sit up, your legs underneath you, and you sit on a stool or a bench, that has even more energy to it. It's easier to not fall asleep. Standing up, even better. If you're really tired, I highly recommend walking meditation. In fact, I recommend walking meditation to everyone. Like if you're coming to these sessions next time, try to actually walk back and forth. I have a walking technique I do. I can talk about that sometime. So do a walking meditation for 20 minutes before, 10 minutes before, and you see that it's much easier to sit down and focus on your breath after you've been walking. Yeah, nice you try. You should always go with what you feel like. If you have pain in your back, then don't ruin your back just because you need to sit. Or you can even have back support, but that tends to make people sog like this, and you should preferably have a straight back when you're sitting. Sometimes when you sit, time goes very quickly. And sometimes when you sit, just the meditation never ends. It feels like it goes on forever and ever. And one of the things that changes how that feels is how much you're resisting what you're experiencing. And if you're really able to just be in your senses and experience what you're feeling and enjoying whatever is coming up, that's usually when the time tends to go quickly, because you're not resisting it. It's like having fun and playing, and then time just flew away because you weren't resisting what was happening. Hey Catherine, nice to see you. Hello Martin, I also have a back problem. I lie down when I meditate. Yeah, does it work for you, Catherine, or do you find that it's difficult to stay awake? Because like I said, some people have an easier time doing it than others. You also can, if you have a back problem, you can lean against something, so you can sit up, and that's a little bit more energy than lying down. But it depends on what your body tells you. It works better. Okay, nice. Because there's nothing wrong with lying down and meditating. You can absolutely do that. I used to do a lot of... Jack has a question. Jack is saying, Siddhartha adored walking in the forest. Everything that was engaging in going back to the wilderness was a blessing for him, and best kind of meditation. How do you pronounce it correctly? Gautama or Gautama? I think that's a difference of what country you hear it in. Some people, I've seen it spelled Gautama and also Gautama. In Sri Lanka, I think they said Gautama, but I'm not sure which is the correct one there. That's something that's disappeared, because I agree with that, and that's I actually just recorded a video. I think it's up on my channel. I think I released it this weekend, about enjoying or being neutral when you meditate. In Vipassana, you're not supposed to feel this enjoyment. You're not supposed to enjoy being out. Whereas in some centers where I was at, they really focused on enjoying being outside, and I highly agree with that, because that's that effortless enjoyment that we're trying to see. And nature is so easy because we don't have a lot of things we're distorting towards. This sofa has like a gazillion things it's just artificial, and it's all these shapes that are unnatural, and my body's like creating all this distortion towards it. It costs money. It has colors and has textures, and I know where it comes from compared to when I go out in the forest and there's just trees and leaves and grass and birds, and it's just it creates less distortion. Mindful Mama, thanks for the nice sitting. My eyes are drooping, going to fall asleep, so good night, everyone. Good night, Mindful Mama. Catherine, I could not concentrate with the pain after 5 minutes. I don't feel sleepy when I meditate anymore. I did at first, but with practice it got much better. Yeah, and that is something that changes. I remember having, when I started going to meditation centers and sitting like 10 hours per day or 15 hours per day, I remember in the beginning I was like, oh, yeah, morning meditations, I just can't do it. It doesn't, because people always ask what's the best time to sit, morning or evening. And I would sit in the morning. I could actually been the other way, but I would sit in the morning and I was so tired, like, oh, I can't sit, it's impossible. And then after a few months, like, whoa, wait a minute, I love sitting in the morning. I'm so awake. It's so easy. It's no problem at all. But then the afternoons would be weak, or the evenings, and then they'd change around. And then all of a sudden it was difficult sitting in the mornings, and then easy in the afternoons. It just changes. So right now that works, and it's not necessarily that you're doing something right or wrong. It can also be just things that change. So if a month from now, Catherine, if it changes for you and you lie down, you're like, oh, I just fall asleep, I cannot meditate when I'm lying down, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing something different or there's something wrong. It's just that you move through these cycles and different things that happen, and that will just change how your meditation feels no matter what you do. You literally, it's just how it is, kind of. And the best way to go through it is just to be effortless with it. Just accept, okay, well, now I'm tired, and then see, can you do something else? Also, back problem can be helped from having a good posture. So like I said, sitting on one of those meditation stools can really help to get your back straight, and then it can be easier to sit. Also making sure you don't tense your shoulders, but actually have it relaxed. Whatever you do, don't sit like this or some kind of posture like this, just or like this. This is not ergonomic. Just sit with your hands like this in front of you, and just relax, and make sure you don't have any tension. Sometimes when I sit, I kind of go like this just to make sure I release any tension that's there. But if you have pain, absolutely lie down. There's nothing wrong with that. Mats, thanks for sitting. Have a good one, everyone. You too, Mats. Nice. It's 9 o'clock almost. I had a really nice sitting today, and as always, it's nice talking to everyone. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see everyone back on Thursday again. Thank you. Good night.